welcome to Charts and Hearts. I'm Sarah, and she's Lindsay.
And together we're working our way through an epic list of rom-coms in order to find and categorize tropes in the hopes of creating the nerdiest spreadsheet podcasts have ever seen.
And today's episode is 2003's Down with Love.
Oh man. Yeah, this movie is so good.
It's so ridiculous. It's completely over the top, but like in a very intentional way. Like it's not like trying to be realistic.
No, it's trying to be a 60s movie. Yeah,
it's trying to be a 60s like slapstick comedy sort of. What the one they reference in the IMDb trivia a lot is Pillow Talk with Rock Hudson and Doris Day. Yeah,
I don't
think I've ever seen.
No, me either, and I don't know anything about them except that they did a lot of movies together and that he was obviously very gay.
Yeah.
And that's really all. But that's fine.
Same.
Like, whatever. A lot of people in this movie are gay.
Indeed.
Nobody seems to care.
Indeed.
So.
Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah, I think the main thing that this one references from that in particular is the cut scenes with the phone calls. Mm-hmm. Like the split screen, so the split screens with the phone calls.
Yeah.
And then this one just goes to like extreme.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It's so good because you get the best of the 60s kind of movies with the most ridiculous things you can get away with in 2003.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. There's so much innuendo. Oh my god. And like puns of,
oh my goodness. Yeah.
And then apparently in the TV edition there's a split screen where they put them on top of each other rather than side by side, and so that it looks very sexual. And that is not in the TV version. I was like, okay, fair enough. Yeah. So anyways, the movie takes place in 1962, apparently, in New York. And it's like Renee Zellweger's character is a writer who comes to town, and Ewan McGregor's character is a journalist who's trying to or should be trying to interview her, but instead is being a cat about town. Mm-hmm. And shenanigans. So many shenanigans. Mistaken identity, lying, plotting, all these things.
Yeah, those are the kinds of things of like, I don't know enough about the movies in the 60s and stuff of like, is that a normal like plot twisty kind of thing?
I think it's an extreme version, or like like this probably didn't happen in any one particular, but it's like all of these bits of
combined
things happened in various movies.
Yeah, and obviously in this one, the plot twist was that so she could have a more active agency role and be more feminist and not just fall in love and marry the guy. So
exactly. Yeah. So the plot twist is like she's been planning this the whole time, and like she was out to get him way before he was even out to get her. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I don't know. I've got lots of observations because it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say, we're talking about the plot twist right now at the end. The monologue that she does is, I think it's like 3 minutes and 20 seconds or something, and it took her
it's absolutely insane.
6 tries, but it's so amazingly good because she's also got this crazy look on her face of not like I'm insane, but like just the look is just like it's like, so good.
She gets like more and more unhinged throughout the whole thing, which is good.
Mm-hmm. And then, but if you think about it, and like trying to be open to creepiness of all genders while we go through this journey together, is this plot is incredibly creepy and stalkerish and like totally insane.
So creepy.
Yeah. So much like other female stalkers in the rom-com era, it all ends happily, but I still feel ooshy about her.
Yeah, no, exactly. If it was fully reversed, it would be it would be way too creepy for them to end up together. It would be way too creepy. Yeah. Oh man. Okay, the supporting cast also in this. So obviously we've talked about Renee Zellweger and Ewan McGregor, but like we've got Sarah Paulson, Rachel Dratch, Jack Plotnick, Jerry Ryan, like so many people. It's crazy.
And David Hyde Pierce.
Oh yeah, David Hyde Pierce, obviously. I didn't even write that down because I figured you would.
No, yeah.
Yeah, David Hyde Pierce, like, and also like, so there's this boardroom scene with all the like publishing executives.
Yeah.
And it's like so many people. What's his face? Like the original chief from ER.
Starts with an A. I can't remember what it is, but everybody
like,
knows.
Everybody in like, it was so crazy, and they all have like the initial names like JB, RJ, blah blah blah. It's very funny.
Yeah, and also Tony Randall.
Yes, yeah, so many people.
Yeah, who was in Pillow
So
Talk
bonkers.
and a bunch of other movies with.
Cool.
Yeah,
And so there's two scenes, which is super weird that this movie gives me total Mary Poppins vibes. The first one is that boardroom scene. It totally reminds me of the Mary Poppins at the bank. Like
with all the suits. Yep.
Yeah, with all the suits and the boardroom and stuff. And then the other one is later when it's David Hyde Pierce and Sarah Paulson in Catcher Block's like
and all the
futuristic apartment, and all the furniture's like opening and closing.
Yeah,
and stuff. Totally.
That's
made
true.
me think of the tidying up the nursery thing. I'm like, why am I getting Mary Poppins vibes from this? Like, other than that, it's not at all Mary Poppins, but like just those two scenes were like very Mary Poppins. I don't know.
That's so random. Yep.
Yep. And then, yeah, like tons more. So like Jerry Ryan and a few other people that I totally recognized play different women that Catcher Block hooks up with along the way.
The French woman, the woman who plays the French flight attendant, is one of the Americans in the Love Actually bar scene.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the first one that he meets.
Yeah. And like Jerry Ryan's just so cute in this. Like, I love her so much, and I want her to be in a sci-fi rom-com because she can do both.
Yeah,
and people
totally.
like both. But she should not do a British accent.
No, there was no need for that.
Yeah. Oh man, what else do I have? Oh, just like all the sets and the fake backgrounds and like the paintings behind the windows and stuff,
which was done on
like,
purpose to be like the 60s, but they
they're so much better because like they're well lit and probably digital in some cases, and it was just gorgeous. Just gorgeous. Oh yeah. So I was flipping through the IMDb trivia and I was like, oh, I know about that. So apparently Renee Zellweger's costumes were all done by Le Chateau, and they're like a Canadian fashion brand, Le Chateau, and I'm like, it's a store from the mall. Like, yes, it was a Canadian, and like they designed their own clothes, but like it was a mall store. I don't know if it still exists. I couldn't tell you.
No, I think there's some outlets, but there's not in our mall, which is sad for me because they had nice tank tops.
Yeah, they did have like some good tops, but like, yeah, it was just funny. But also like 2003 was pretty much like peak trying to be fancy.
Actually fancy. But also like they did an amazing job. The costumes in this movie are so incredible.
So good. Also, I want to know who made all the hats, because Renee Zellweger and Sarah Paulson get amazing hats.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, so there's lots of things like you have here. There's nuclear protests because it's 62, but this movie is incredibly white.
Yeah. So it's both like accurate for a movie from the 60s and also accurate for 2003 of looking back and being like, in the 60s, there was only white people, right?
Yeah.
We liked it that way, right?
Exactly. Wasn't it so great? Everybody was chill. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So the whole thing, and like, it's very a 60s trope of like, you're either a bachelor or a spinster for life, or you get married and move to the suburbs and have kids and your wife stays home and serves you cocktails when you walk in the door. Like, there's a whole world between those two extremes, but not in the 60s. Like,
no, not in the 60s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least not in 60s movies. In real life 60s there was, for sure, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and they land on something in between those by the very end of the movie also, like, where like she ends up with this amazing career in publishing magazines and stuff, and he comes to work for her. Like, yeah. Also at the end, so okay, throughout the movie he's pretending to be, is it Zip
Martin?
Yeah, so he's pretending to this guy Zip Martin who works for NASA, but like he doesn't actually work for NASA. Yeah. But then at the end he gets a NASA helicopter to take them to Las Vegas.
So
I don't understand.
Also, they're gonna take a helicopter from New York to Vegas? That sounds horrible.
I know. I feel like you'd have to change helicopters. Or
I'm pretty sure
like
they're taking
times.
a NASA helicopter from Manhattan to JFK.
To the airport.
Or whatever that airport was called in 62, because it wasn't called JFK yet, because he was still alive.
I don't know what it was called. Yeah. Yeah. They're taking a helicopter to the airport.
There is a lot of anachronisms with the 60s in the trivia that they go into, goofs, like he mentions the Cuban Missile Crisis, but that doesn't happen until fall of 1962 and all this kind of stuff.
Right.
And I'm like, whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
This movie is not based on a historical accuracy.
No, that's the whole thing. It's like 60s vibes, not 60s reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole thing at the beginning when they're like talking about Operation Paperclip and oh, what? We're the good guys. Why are Nazis working for us? And I'm like, I don't know if there's good guys in this scenario. Obviously, if you're talking about Nazis, there's very clearness, but then this is where it gets fuzzy of like, they willingly, let them work for them and all of this stuff. And I don't know enough about any of this, but still, they're just like,
oh yeah,
again,
no, it was very controversial.
Pro-America capitalism, whitewash nostalgia of like, but we're the good guys. What are we doing? Those guys better go to jail. And I'm like,
yeah, and then at the end, everybody gets their happily ever after. Like Sarah Paulson, they definitely do like the hardcore slapstick comedy shenanigans, and then everybody goes off and gets married and blah-de-da. And then there's the amazing post-credits like music video.
I know, which Renee and Ewan asked for.
Yeah, they're like, you can't just like have the song at the end and not let us sing it. Like, hello.
Yeah, you guys know that we are singers, right? Which is, I think when I was talking to my sister about this movie, it was peak why is Obi-Wan so attractive time.
Yes.
Like 2003, I was like, I don't know when Moulin Rouge came out, but it was before this.
Yeah.
Probably like a year or so ago beforehand.
Yeah,
and you're
like
just
early, like 2000-ish.
Yeah, and you're just like, what is happening? This guy who was around and then is Obi-Wan, and now what? I have feelings.
Yeah, like he was the guy in Trainspotting, and then he was Obi-Wan, and now he's this?
Yeah. Like, what's happening?
What is happening in my brain?
Because also, like, 2003, so it's like, really, the only Obi-Wan parts, are bad ones.
Yeah.
Not that it gets better after episode 2 until, now, but still.
Yeah. And then in the song lyrics, there's like references to Rock Hudson and Doris Day also, which I thought was cute.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Ugh, so good. Anyways, highly recommend.
Yes.
I was like trying to be a little careful to not like spoil the twist because like even though I had seen this movie many times, just not very recently, it's still like, oh right, that's the twist. So,
yeah, I think like I hadn't seen it in ages either, but I'm like I know the twist because I remember how it ends, but I don't remember how she goes through the twist because it's so convoluted. So there's no way
you can actually
for us to spoil the monologue unless we stuck all 3 minutes of it in the podcast. Which why would we do that?
No, just watch the movie. It's delightful.
Oh yeah, the other thing I was going to say about the whitewashing nostalgia is the Jack Plotnick playing a very openly gay person, and like he would never be able to even say that in 1962. So,
yeah, probably not.
Like,
in some circles, yes, but
the very hilarious way he walks. I'm just like, that's a 2003 joke. And if he walked like that in 1962, he would be murdered.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Ugh, he's so good, though.
I know. So awesome. And it took me so long to figure out who it was. And I was like, it's Jack Plotnick. He's our friend. Not really, but,
No. So cute. Okay. So many tropes in this one, which is also, like, the point.
Yeah. So we have the rogue, charming cad. He's so charming and just, you just can't stop. Even though he's a bad boy.
Yep. Yeah, but he's so charming with that smile and that accent. Yeah, and then we have, like, so many levels of the best friend trope. Like, the best friend, especially the guy, Niles, is jealous of the main guy. And then also the two best friends of the main couple get together.
Yeah.
Also.
But also, like, the thing I do like, obviously the trope of, I don't know, David Head Pierce being jealous of Catcher Block is a normal trope of like this is a way of showing how good he is, but like Catcher is also nice to him, and like gives him advice and like good advice, not just like catty advice of like you have to do this, like you have to make your move.
Takes advantage of him.
He does definitely take advantage of him in his charming catty way, but like not in. But at least he's you can tell it's an actual friendship and not like a fan boy.
Yeah, well, and like he's his boss actually. Like, yeah, because Catcher Block is like a writer for the magazine that what's his face David Hyde Pierce's character is the
owner,
like editor for or owner or something
like that,
the boss of. Yep. All right, and then
and then so then it's the trope of flipping gender tropes, which is there's too many tropes in there, but it's like I don't want to have just meaningless sex. I want to get married. And it's a guy saying that, which like a woman would never actually say in a movie, but it's implied in every single movie.
Yes.
So those kinds of things of like, isn't it hilarious that all the women in this movie want to have meaningless sex and all the men want to get married? And
Indeed.
like, it is hilarious in this movie, but that is a trope of like, we're doing this on purpose, similar to the same thing of like, you know, the phone calls or the, why couldn't this get done? Like when Spike couldn't bite Willow of like, maybe we'll wait and try again, or maybe you're tired, you know, the hilarious erection innuendo jokes.
Exactly.
Kind of, same kind of deal. Yeah.
Yeah. And then obviously enemies to lovers because like he's out to get her, she hates him for most of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also the trope of women loving chocolate.
Yep.
Just as much as or more than sex.
Yep.
And like chocolate as a metaphor for sex but also masturbation.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. It's the 60s. It's the self-pleasuring.
Exactly.
I'm like, yeah, chocolate,
Yes.
but you know, there are other things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which clearly, yeah.
Yeah. Couldn't say that in 2003 either. So.
Well, yeah, exactly. Bechdel test?
Yeah, so this is a weird one. This is the one, like, I think, like, if you're looking at it in a black and white, it would get a technicality pass. Mm-hmm. But she's, like, they do spend the entire time talking about men, but it's also, like, in retrospect of their job of, like, don't you hate men? They're ruining, I can't become a better editor and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Or he won't let me do this interview because I'm a woman. And then it flips on this whole thing of like, I was in love with you. So then I wrote this book about why men are bad. And then I fell in love with you, but then I stopped. And then now I'm hiring women. Like, yeah, it's a weird thing of, this is where, again, like the problems lie. Like, it's not black and white of it. They do spend the entire time talking about men, but that's, it's good.
Yeah,
in this
but they're
one.
also fighting the patriarchy,
fighting the good fight,
fighting back against that. But also,
and are both incredibly focused on their jobs. Like both of them, their main purpose is their jobs. Yeah,
but their jobs. Well, Renee Zellweger's job especially is very male focused.
Yes.
So like, it's kind of like, yes, it would be, I don't know, like more feminist. I hate that expression. I don't know. It would be like more progressive and like if it was like. Yeah, if they didn't have to do all of this, but like that's the whole point. So yeah, it's complicated, which is the whole thing with the Bechdel test. Mm-hmm. Anyways, let's go into something simpler, like pie.
Oh my goodness, this pie is full. So many things in this pie, but
kind of dirty.
Well, that's on the list, so.
Exactly.
So we'll start with you and Swoon, because that is intense during this whole movie.
Know, like,
and then...
We've got so many things to fit in, though, so I feel like it should only be, like, 30?
Yeah, I think let's go with that. Because it's good all the whole movie, and then when he sings at the end, and he pulls out his smiley voice, you're just like, oh, no.
Oh, no. Yep. And then we have sexual innuendo and dirty, dirty puns. Like, 20?
Yeah, I think so. It has to be. There's so many.
So many.
Like, the sexual
every time you turn around.
Innuendos are... incredible, like the whole scene with the cut thing and just the entire scene with him and David Hyde Pearson, their socks conversation.
Yes, talking about their hose.
Yeah, like it's 12 inches. Yeah, like it stays up all day long.
Oh, so good. Okay, amazing hats and outfits. Oh my gosh, so ridiculous. So many.
There's so many, and like it's one of those things of like obviously it's not the point. It's not a plot point, like in whatever Devil Wears Prada, but like it is a point. It's a meta plot point because that they're basing it on a 60s movie of incredible outfits. So,
yeah. And also like her outfits get like more avant-garde or like crazier the sort of more into New York she gets. Like when she first arrives, they're very like, you know, just like a skirt suit kind of thing. Yeah. And then they just get like more and more extreme. So yeah, they do like show plot. I don't know, like 30? Is that too much?
Maybe 25.
25? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works. Yeah. 25% hats and outfits. Okay. Montages. So many montages.
So many montages.
They're so good.
They're so good. Like the Fly Me to the Moon one when they're both getting ready and it's different versions of Fly Me to the Moon.
Ugh. Yeah, and then when like all of their fancy dates that they go on, like
Yeah, and they have so many outfits in them. Oh.
so many outfits and all the like backdrops. Yeah. Oh, so good. I don't know. 20?
Mm-hmm.
And that leaves us with a little tiny slice of retro slapstick comedy references. I don't really know what to call this. Like, yeah, retro rom-com references.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Retro rom-com references. That leaves, 5%.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes. Delicious, slightly scandalous pie, but with really cute fashion sense.
Yeah. Oh, those outfits are amazing. And there's so many other, like, the writing is so incredible, like her montage and stuff.
Yeah.
But the whole thing of, like, I didn't know that I wanted to work at Now, and now the lead editor of No, and whatever it is. I can't even say it, but just like
the puns with that.
Yeah, the tongue twisters and puns with that stuff, and just,
Amazing. Okay, Lindsay, what's next for them?
I think they're gonna make it because it's the 60s, first of all.
Yeah.
And I think they found a decent compromise as a redhead. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I know. So ridiculous. I hate it.
I know. I hate it
but
too.
I love it.
It's so cheesy. But yeah, I think that they are like breaking the mold. And yeah, she can have a job too. And they're not just going to get married or get moved to the suburbs and stuff. And if they did, they did. But also, like, people were raising children in apartments in the 60s. That's how.
Yeah.
What's her face? Eloise. Right? That's the name.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's how she came about.
Well, she was in a hotel, but yeah.
Yeah, but same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
no, like, it's doable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like they have fancy enough jobs that like they have lots of money. Like she's being the like Oprah of the 60s or whatever. So
yeah,
I think they could have a big enough house or a big enough apartment.
Big enough apartment. Like the apartment that she's living in right now is 2 stories.
Yeah.
And that is like being paid for by the book publishing company.
I don't know. It was so confusing. Yeah, so I think they'll be fine.
Yep.
And Lindsay, what's next for us and for our listeners?
Well, this is definitely the high point of the month.
Uh-huh. Correct.
With our Star Wars theme, we're leaving Ewan behind and going back to Natalie for Garden State at the end of the month. And over on Patreon coming next week, maybe, depending on Sarah's work.
Soon.
We will be
possible.
Releasing our yet to be recorded, but I'm sure to be just very happy and full of joy and love for the franchise. Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, rom-com.
The rom-com of Star Wars.
Let me tell you, I've watched an hour of it so far, and I'm mad at myself for doing this.
It's okay. We'll get there. It'll be
We'll
fun.
get there, and June is going to be chef's kiss, so we're good.
It'll be great. Okay.
Yep.
Well, that brings us to the end of this episode. Don't forget that you can rate or review us wherever you get your podcast, and you can find us on social media. We're at Charts and Hearts Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, and at Charts and Hearts on Twitter.
You can also check us out on our website at chartsandhearts.com, where you can submit your suggestions for rom-coms and tropes for us to add to the list. Were there more on this one? I don't know. I felt like we went through everything really fast because we just loved it, and it was just a gush fest. So
sorry.
It's fine. And you can check us out at our Patreon at patreon.com/chartsandheartsclub if you really want to hear our thoughts about episode 2. But we do also have a super fun Spotify playlist for our patrons with songs from all of our movies, and you can bet that you and Renee's song is going on there pretty quick. It's gonna be good.
ASAP.
Yeah.
And don't forget to let us know your thoughts on this movie. And in the meantime, he usually calls to cancel right on time. I sure could go for a tang. The only man who could have his way with me now is Milton Hershey. There were too many. I know.
There's too many. It's so good.
There's like 47 more. Okay. That's all.
Bye.
Adios. Bye.